video is an Edpuzzle, or it will be an Edpuzzle, for an assignment for language arts. This is our 6th grade group. To find this assignment, you're going to go to classwork. You're going to go to Remote Learning Week 16 and Callie's Ride. So for this Edpuzzle, you need to open the Google Doc that is assigned to you, so that it is alongside of the Edpuzzle, because there are some activities you have to do on that and turn in through Google Classroom. Okay, this Edpuzzle is just to serve to go over how to do the lesson and to read the passage. Okay, so this passage is called Callie's Ride. Whoopsies. Okay, so I'm going to read the questions first so that I know what I need to be looking for while I'm reading. Okay, so it says the following question has 2 parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. Highlight the answer in green. Okay, so you're going to highlight the correct answer in green. This is green. Okay, so part A says, which statement best summarizes the theme of the text? So remember, a theme is what we're working on. That's the skill we're working on, and it is an overarching lesson that the author is trying to teach us. It is a lesson that the author is trying to teach us. So I'll read the choices. Which statement best summarizes the themes of the text? A, occasionally schoolwork should take a back seat to outside interests and hobbies. B, sometimes it's necessary to disobey parents as long as it has a positive result. C, working hard for your true passion is the most important. D, the relationship between humans and their pets can sometimes be more important than those between humans and other humans. Okay, so part B will need to match the answer for part A, because it's asking which detail below from the text best supports your answer from part A. Again, you are highlighting your answer in green. Okay, so on your Google Doc, I should see this highlighted just like I just highlighted. Okay, so which detail best supports our answer? Now we haven't read it yet, but by reading this, it will give me an idea of what the story is about. So what detail from the text best supports my answer from part A? A, Callie enjoyed a ride with Jake every afternoon. Callie was often distracted in school, thinking about how much she would rather have been out riding Jake. B, her parents, though, were unsupportive about her choice of career. While they supported her love of horses, they saw it as a hobby. It had been a debate in the Jones family since Callie entered high school. C, Callie and Jake had been training intensely to win. It was a fierce competition with over 50 riders. Even though the odds were against her, Callie knew she could win. She believed in her heart that the job was meant for her. D, the sheer number of people overwhelmed them both, but Callie whispered words of encouragement to Jake to keep them both calm. Okay, so now I kind of have an idea of what this story is about. It's mentioning here a love of horses. It's mentioning here that she's whispering to Jake to keep him calm. Okay, so I'm going to read the story. As I'm reading, again, you're listening for the theme, the lesson the author is trying to tell us. Okay. Callie Jones's first ride on a horse was when her father took her to a farm to ride a pony, just after her 3rd birthday. After her first loop around the ring, she was hooked. Her father, seeing her love of horses, bought Callie her own horse when she turned 8. Since then, Callie and her horse Jake have been best friends. Jake looked forward to seeing Callie every morning as she diligently cleaned his stable and filled his food and water troughs. Callie would often sit on a stool in his stable and brush him as she talked to him about the major events of her life, complicated or not. Over their 10 years together, Jake listened to Callie talk about her princess toys, her first days of junior high and then high school, her conflicts with friends, and her anxiety over tests at school. Jake was a faithful listener and loved every minute of it. Callie enjoyed a ride with Jake every afternoon, but she was only allowed to go out when all of her homework was finished. As a result, their rides got shorter as Callie grew older. Callie was often distracted in school, thinking about how much she would rather have been out riding Jake. Her parents and teachers grew concerned about her future. Callie was not worried about her future. She knew she wanted to work at a horse farm. Her parents, though, were unsupportive about her choice of career. While they supported her love of horses, they saw it as a hobby and wanted her to go to college. It had been a debate in the Jones family since Callie entered high school. She was determined, though, to show her parents that her talents in life were not in academics, but in the fields and stables. Nothing meant more to her. To prove to her parents that she could make a living with horses, Callie entered many riding competitions to win prize money. She had some success with them. The biggest test, though, was a national horseback riding competition for 18-year-olds. This event had a prize that had Callie's head spinning. The prize was her dream, a career in horses. The winner got a full-time paid position at a horse ranch in Arizona. The job entailed exercising, feeding, watering the horses, and running horse camps for young children. Callie and Jake had been training intensely to win. It was a fierce competition with over 50 riders. Even though the odds were against her, Callie knew she could win. She believed in her heart that the job was meant for her. As the day of the competition neared, Callie and Jake took ride after ride, spending hours in intense preparation. On the morning of their fateful ride, Callie carefully fed, watered, and groomed Jake. They drove the short distance to the competition. The sheer number of people overwhelmed them both, but Callie whispered words of encouragement to Jake to keep them both calm. Callie and Jake hid in the stable until they heard their names called. The flashbulbs and the intensity of the crowd scared Callie, but she tried not to let that impact her attitude. Callie's love of riding took over as she rode. A huge smile spread across her face as they finished. She knew she had done her best and was hopeful about her potential for winning. They waited in the stable for approximately 6 hours as the other competitors rode, and the contest concluded. Finally, after everyone had ridden, Callie exited the comfort of the stable and sat with her parents in the stands to await her fate. As runners-up were called, Callie felt her palms get sweaty and her heart beat faster. She had never wanted anything more than to win this contest. Finally, as she heard her name on the loudspeaker followed by the roar of the crowd, Callie's heart soared. She hugged her parents and realized that, in a single weekend, she had made a future for herself. Okay, so the first question was, which statement best summarizes the theme of the text? A, occasionally schoolwork should take a backseat to outside interests and hobbies. B, sometimes it's necessary to disobey parents as long as it has a positive result. C, working hard for your true passion is the most important. Or D, the relationship between humans and their pets can sometimes be more important than those between humans and other humans. Now, to find a theme of a text, we need to go back into the text and find some feelings that Callie is feeling to guide us through this process. Excuse me. Ooh, okay. So what we want you to do as part of this assignment is to go back into the text, and you can rewind this Edpuzzle if you need to hear it read to you. But we want you to go back into your version of the Google Doc and highlight places where it tells us what Callie is feeling, okay? So for example, this says, after her first loop around the ring, she was hooked. Her father, seeing her love of horses, bought Callie her own horse when she turned 8. So I'm going to highlight that section because that is telling me how she feels. She is hooked. She loves riding horses. Okay. She confided in Jake over her anxieties at school. She talked to him, so she becomes close to him. So again, this is an area that we could highlight. We know how she's feeling about her relationship with this animal, okay? So she would sit on a stool and talk to him about the major events in her life, whether they were complicated or not. Okay, it talks about how she enjoyed her rides with Jake, but that she grew distracted in school, thinking how much she'd rather be riding Jake. Okay, so I gave you a couple examples here. I'm not going to do them all, and I'm going to read the question again. So you need to continue through the text, and you need to continue reading it or rewind to hear me read and highlight areas where it talks about how Callie feels, what her general feelings are about what is happening in the story and how she feels about Jake. Okay, and then you can answer these questions. So I'll read this again. Whoops. Which statement best summarizes the theme of the text? And remember, you want to start by getting rid of answers that don't make any sense. Maybe there's something here that didn't even happen in the story. I just gave you a big hint, okay? So which statement best summarizes the theme of the text? A, occasionally schoolwork should take a backseat to outside interests and hobbies. B, sometimes it's necessary to disobey parents as long as it has a positive result. C, working hard for your true passion is the most important. Or D, the relationship between humans and their pets can sometimes be more important than those between humans and other humans. Which detail from the text best supports your answer from part A? This is telling me that whatever this part says, it needs to match what you chose for part A. It needs to match. Okay? So, which detail from the text best supports your answer from part A, which was the theme of the story? So, which detail tells us that's the theme? A, Callie enjoyed a ride with Jake every afternoon. Callie was often distracted in school, thinking about how much she would rather have been out riding Jake. B, her parents, though, were unsupportive about her choice of career. While they supported her love of horses, they saw it as a hobby. It had been a debate in the Jones family since Callie entered high school. C, Callie and Jake had been trained intensely to win. It was a fierce competition with over 50 riders. Even though the odds were against her, Callie knew she could win. She believed in her heart that the job was meant for her. Or D, the sheer number of people overwhelmed them both, but Callie whispered words of encouragement to Jake to keep them both calm. Remember, you are to highlight these. Yes, the Edpuzzle is asking you for these answers, but you are to highlight them on your Google Doc. And then once you have finished the assignment, you are to click Turn In. Okay, and that concludes the assignment.